When the world starts unraveling, survival isn't just about how much you've stockpiled, it's about what you can actually keep. Think about it. Every crisis doesn't just bring chaos. It brings confiscation. And it's not just governments you need to worry about. Looters, desperate neighbors, even people you thought you could trust. They'll all be looking for one thing: resources. Here's the hard truth. If you don't know how to hide the essentials, they'll disappear faster than you can blink. Years of preparation, gone in seconds. And this isn't some paranoid fantasy, it's a pattern we've seen time and time again throughout history. When things fall apart, the playbook is always the same. Control the resources, control the people. You've probably heard of the rule of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. But there's another rule no one talks about. The rule of confiscation. It only takes 3 seconds for someone, whether they're wearing a badge or a ski mask, to take what you've worked so hard to prepare. And it's not just food and ammo they're after. The real treasures in a collapsing world are the force multipliers, the tools that give you freedom and independence. Defense, communication, mobility, health. These are the things that make the difference between surviving and being at someone else's mercy. So, here's the deal. If you want to stay ahead of the chaos, you need a plan. In this video, we're breaking down the 10 critical items that will be first on the confiscation list, and more importantly, how to keep them safe. Grab a pen, take notes, and get ready to protect what matters most. Because when the knock comes, it'll be too late to start planning. 1. Communication gear. Your lifeline to the truth. Let's start with something that's probably sitting right in plain sight. Your radios and communication equipment. These aren't just gadgets, they're your lifeline to the truth when everything else goes dark. In a collapse scenario, information becomes the most valuable and dangerous resource you can have. The moment an SHTF event unfolds, the first thing to vanish isn't food or water, it's the truth. Whoever controls communication controls the narrative, and by extension the population. That's why your ham radios, GMRS sets, scanners, and even basic walkie-talkies will be among the first things targeted for confiscation. Think about it, these devices give you the ability to hear what's really happening beyond the official story. They let you coordinate with your family or survival group, track local activity, and pick up signals that could mean the difference between safety and danger. That's real power. And power is something both authorities and opportunists will want to take from you. Governments often justify seizing communication gear under the guise of national security or preventing misinformation. During martial law or emergencies, unregistered communication equipment is often restricted or outright banned. History shows us that even civilian radio operators have been forced to surrender their gear temporarily, a temporary measure that often becomes permanent, and when the rule of law breaks down entirely, looters and desperate locals see radios as gold. They can use them to spy, coordinate attacks, or trade for other valuable resources. So how do you protect your communication gear? First, concealment is key. Faraday bags or cages are non-negotiable. They shield your devices from EMPs and keep them off the radar. Store your transmitters separately from their power sources, and keep antennas small, collapsible, and hidden. Avoid mounting anything in obvious high-visibility areas. Next, think about creative hiding spots. False walls, hollow furniture, or buried PVC tubes can work wonders. And don't rely on just one piece of equipment, have backups. Simple handheld radios, low-power devices, and encrypted channels can give you options if your primary gear is compromised. Rotate your batteries quietly and never leave your equipment out in the open, charging on the counter. That's an open invitation for trouble. In a world where the grid is down and the airwaves are silent, the only voices left will be those who prepared. A hidden radio isn't just a tool, it's your link to awareness, coordination, and survival itself. 2. Fuel. The lifeblood of survival. When the lights go out and the grid collapses, fuel becomes more than just a convenience. It becomes the heartbeat of survival. Diesel, gasoline, propane. These aren't just liquids. They're mobility, warmth, and power in a world that's gone cold and still. And that's exactly why fuel will be one of the first resources to be seized. Governments will call it rational distribution. Desperate neighbors will call it borrowing. Looters, they'll just call it an opportunity. Whatever the excuse, your fuel is a target. Whether it's stored in bright red gas cans or a large white propane tank sitting next to your house, it screams value in a world starved of energy. When shortages hit, expect rationing laws, mandatory inspections, and even temporary collection programs. Officials will claim your backup fuel is needed for critical services. And if the government doesn't take it, the smell alone could give you away to anyone within sniffing distance. In a grid-down scenario, even a single full gas can becomes as valuable as gold. So how do you protect your fuel? The key is dispersion and camouflage. Don't store all your fuel in one place. Spread it across smaller containers and hide them in sheds, buried caches, or even old toolboxes. Paint your tanks in dull, earth-tone colors to help them blend into the surroundings. For larger containers, consider burying them safely away from view and heat sources. You can even get creative. Hide a few gallons inside an old non-running vehicle or tractor that looks abandoned. And here's a pro tip: rotate your fuel quietly. Refuel at night, away from prying eyes. Never brag about your backup fuel or post about it online. The goal is to make your energy storage look unimportant and ordinary. Fuel isn't just about convenience, it's about control. It powers your generator for light, your stove for warmth, and your vehicle for escape. Without it, you're trapped, frozen, and powerless. Treat your fuel like you would ammunition or medicine, with total secrecy and security. From the moment you start storing it, assume someone is watching. 3. Physical wealth, cash and precious metals. In stable times, cash gives you freedom. In a collapse, it paints a target on your back. When financial systems fall apart, those who hold physical currency, whether it's cash, silver, or gold, instantly become walking vaults. And in a world desperate for control, both authorities and criminals will want what you have. Governments have a long history of manipulating currency during crises. They can freeze bank withdrawals, void old notes, or force everyone onto new, trackable emergency currencies. Overnight, your physical cash could be declared illegal, counterfeit, or obsolete. If you think that sounds far-fetched, just look at past currency resets and demonetizations around the world. It happens fast, quietly, and always in the name of stability. Silver and gold, the timeless stores of value, won't escape attention either. During wars or economic collapses, many governments have ordered citizens to turn in their precious metals, claiming it's for national reserves. Meanwhile, black markets thrive, and anyone caught with hidden silver becomes both wealthy and hunted. So, how do you protect your wealth? First, diversify your hiding spots. Never store all your cash or silver in one location. Avoid safes. They're the first thing thieves look for. Instead, use deceptive hiding places. Sealed containers in walls, false bottoms in drawers, or buried caches marked by subtle natural landmarks are all great options. Keep decoys, small, visible amounts that look like all you have. This can satisfy a quick search without giving away your real stash. Second, keep your transactions invisible. Don't trade openly or flaunt your ability to barter. In a collapse, flashing a silver coin or a roll of bills could draw a crowd, and not the friendly kind. Use discreet trade networks, trusted contacts, and small denominations to stay under the radar. Your financial preparedness is useless if it can't survive confiscation or theft. In a post-collapse world, wealth won't be measured by what you own. It'll be measured by what you can hide and protect. Treat your cash and silver like the lifeblood of your independence. Once they're gone, you're at the mercy of those who control the new rules. 4. Surveillance tools. Your eyes in the shadows. In a world where chaos reigns, the ability to see what others can't is a game changer. Drones, binoculars, night vision goggles, and thermal scopes aren't just tools, they're your eyes in the dark. And in an SHTF scenario, that makes them both powerful and dangerous. The ability to track movement, monitor surroundings, and see beyond barriers is a strategic advantage that governments, looters, and desperate individuals will want to take from you. Drones in particular draw attention. Even a small quadcopter buzzing overhead is like a neon sign in a silent, powerless world. It signals capability, surveillance, intelligence gathering, or supply scouting. That's why drones will be among the first items targeted for confiscation. Governments may impose immediate bans, demanding registration or outright surrender, claiming it's for public safety. Opportunists, on the other hand, will steal them to sell or use for their own raids. The moment you launch a drone, you reveal not just your location, but also your advantage. Optics like night vision goggles, thermal imagers, and high-end binoculars face similar risks. These aren't just seen as personal tools anymore. They're considered tactical, even military grade, in the eyes of those who want control. Expect door-to-door searches, confiscation orders, and restrictions justified as preventing misuse. So how do you protect your surveillance tools? The key is to go invisible. Store your gear deep, not wide, hidden inside old toolboxes, hollow walls, or sealed containers disguised as mundane items like fishing gear or spare parts. Never leave optics out in the open or mounted visibly on weapons or helmets. When you do use them, be smart. Fly drones sparingly and never from your home base. Launch from remote spots, change your patterns, and avoid hovering in one place for too long. For optics, practice using them quietly and discreetly. Don't advertise what you can see or what you have. Knowledge is power, and in a world where sight equals survival, your hidden surveillance tools are your edge. Lose them and you're moving blind through a world full of predators. Keep them safe, keep them secret, and you'll always have the upper hand. 5. Life-saving medicine. The new currency. When the system collapses, hospitals close, pharmacies run dry, medicine becomes the new gold. A single bottle of antibiotics or a pack of painkillers can mean the difference between life and death. Infections that were once easily treatable could become fatal in days. That's why medicine will be one of the first resources to disappear, and one of the most sought after. Authorities will justify seizing medical supplies under the guise of public health redistribution. They'll claim it's to ensure equal access, but in practice, it means your personal stash is fair game. Looters will raid clinics, and when the shelves are empty, they'll turn their attention to private homes. Even well-meaning neighbors might come knocking when their child's fever spikes and the local pharmacy is long gone. To protect your medical supplies, operational security is everything. Never advertise your stash. Don't post photos, show labels, or talk about your preparations outside your trusted circle. Keep a small visible supply for show, but store the bulk of your stock elsewhere. Use multiple hidden caches in different locations. Old vitamin bottles, pet antibiotic labels, or generic jars can disguise critical meds. Store part of your supply in sealed Mylar bags with desiccants to extend shelf life. Hide some in alternate sites, buried PVC tubes, outbuildings, or false compartments in furniture. And remember, medicine isn't just pills. Painkillers, antiseptics, insulin, and blood pressure meds will all become priceless when pharmacies shut down. Learn basic medical skills now. Wound care, infection management, and herbal substitutes can reduce your dependence on a single bottle of antibiotics. In a post-collapse world, people won't just steal your silver, they'll steal your survival. Guard your medical supplies like your life depends on it, because one day it just might. 6. Seeds, the foundation of independence. Canned food can keep you alive for a while, but seeds can feed you for a lifetime. When the grid goes down and grocery stores vanish, seeds become the foundation of true independence. They're not just food, they're renewable calories, and anyone who understands long-term survival knows that makes them one of the most valuable assets you can have. In a post-collapse world, people will quickly realize that stockpiled goods run out, but seeds reproduce. That's power, and power always invites control. Governments, organizations, and even hungry neighbors will come for your gardening supplies. Confiscation will be framed as agricultural coordination or community gardening programs. But once you hand them over, they're gone. So how do you protect your seeds? Treat them like gold. Don't store them all in one place or in a single box on a shelf. Break them into small vacuum-sealed packets and spread them across several hidden spots. Keep some at home, some off-site. Use decoy storage, a small harmless-looking seed box in your garage or pantry, while the real treasure stays hidden. Remember, the seed itself isn't the only thing that's valuable. Your gardening tools, fertilizers, irrigation supplies, and compost stock are all part of the same system. If one link is taken, your entire operation could collapse. That's why redundancy is key. Keep extra hand tools, backup watering methods, and a second set of seed trays stored in an outbuilding or shed. Camouflage is your best friend. Label containers as bird feed or organic study samples. Use metal tins, mason jars, or waterproof Mylar bags inside sealed containers. If possible, bury some stock in waterproof tubes a few hundred feet from your home. Seeds are your future. One handful can mean hundreds of meals. When everyone else is fighting over canned beans, The person with a garden holds real power. Protect your seeds like your life depends on it, because one day it just might. 7. Personal protection. The armor that saves lives. When society crumbles and chaos takes over, the ability to stop a bullet becomes a life or death advantage. Body armor, whether it's plates, vests, or helmets, isn't just gear. It's your last line of defense. And that's exactly why it'll be one of the first things targeted for confiscation. Authorities will justify taking body armor under the guise of public safety or officer protection. They'll frame it as military-grade equipment that civilians shouldn't have access to. But let's be real. This isn't about safety. It's about control. History has shown us how quickly tactical gear can go from legal to restricted with the stroke of a pen. One emergency decree, and suddenly your life-saving vest is contraband. But it's not just governments you need to worry about. In a collapse, looters, militias, and desperate individuals will also hunt for body armor. To them, it's not about laws, it's about survival. A vest or helmet becomes a high-value target, something that can mean the difference between life and death in a firefight. If you own body armor, assume it's already on someone's radar. Hiding it isn't paranoia, it's smart planning. Don't store it in obvious places like closets, gun safes, or under the bed. Those are the first spots anyone will check. Instead, think creatively. Build false walls, use hidden compartments in furniture, or stash it behind shelving. For long-term concealment, vacuum seal your plates and store them in dry PVC tubes underground or in a concealed crawl space. It's also a good idea to split your set. Keep one lightweight or older vest accessible for immediate use, and store your best gear in a separate, secure location. This way you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And remember, never post pictures of your armor or brag about it online. Tactical flexing only invites unwanted attention from both criminals and authorities. When the collapse hits, officials may announce collection drives to keep armor off the streets. But the real goal is to ensure compliance and vulnerability. Your body armor is your last line of defense, but it's only useful if you still have it when you need it most. Hide it like your life depends on it, because one day it just might. 8. Water storage. The lifeline everyone needs. When the taps run dry and municipal water systems fail, water becomes the ultimate survival resource. Those massive 55-gallon drums, IBC totes, and stacks of 5-gallon jugs you've been storing, they're not just containers, they're lifeline. But their size and visibility also make them prime targets for confiscation. Anyone looking to control resources knows that water is the first thing to seize. Governments may enforce equitable distribution programs, claiming they're securing water for public welfare. Looters won't bother with excuses, they'll just take what they see. And that's the problem. The bigger your water storage, the easier it is to spot. Months of preparation can disappear in a single night. The solution? Concealment and camouflage. Paint your barrels in earth tones to help them blend into the environment. Hide them in dense brush, under decks, or behind false enclosures. Build fake utility boxes or sheds to mask obvious storage. If you have the means, consider burying a cistern underground or using an old water tank, partially hidden from view. Smaller containers are just as important. Store 1 to 5-gallon jugs in crawl spaces, basements, or discreet sheds. Spread them out across multiple locations to reduce risk. If one cache is discovered, it shouldn't mean all your water is gone. Don't forget about security. Locking lids, fenced enclosures, or even simple alarm systems can deter opportunists. And think beyond just storage. Water filtration systems, spare filters, and purification tablets are just as critical. A barrel of stagnant water is useless if it's not drinkable. When the crisis hits, water security isn't a luxury. It's life itself. Guard it like your survival depends on it, because in a collapse, it absolutely does. 9. Emergency medical supplies. The tools that save lives. In a collapse, trauma supplies are as critical as food and water. Tourniquets, chest seals, pressure dressings, and splints aren't just items in a first aid kit. They're life-saving tools, and that makes them a target. When hospitals shut down and emergency responders are overwhelmed, your medical supplies become a resource everyone wants. Looters will raid clinics, and when the shelves are empty, they'll turn their attention to private homes. Even authorities may justify confiscation as triage support or allocation to emergency centers. But the result is the same. Your ability to save lives becomes someone else's property. Protecting your medical gear requires layered concealment. Keep a small, visible kit for plausibility, but hide the real life-saving tools in distributed caches. Vacuum seal them for protection and store them in creative places, at the bottom of food buckets, inside furniture compartments, or even buried underground. Decoys can be incredibly effective. Let them find the visible kit while your real inventory stays hidden. And don't rely on just one location. Keep duplicates at off-site safe houses, discreet sheds, or with trusted friends. Training is just as important as the gear itself. Knowing how to use your supplies can mean the difference between survival and tragedy. Learn basic trauma care, wound management, and infection control now, so you're not scrambling in a crisis. In an SHTF scenario, medical gear isn't just a convenience, it's leverage, independence, and a lifeline. Without it, even minor injuries can become fatal. Protect it, conceal it, and treat it with the same seriousness as you would food or ammunition. 10. Navigation tools, the keys to freedom. In a world where GPS and cell networks are down, analog navigation tools become priceless. Paper maps, compasses, and protractors aren't just old school, they're survival essentials. They represent freedom, the ability to move, avoid danger, find resources, and make independent decisions. And that's exactly why they'll be high on the confiscation list. Authorities often try to control movement during crises, setting up checkpoints and regulating traffic. If they control the maps, they control where you can go. Even looters understand the value of navigation tools. Knowledge of back roads, hidden water sources, and safe hideouts makes someone with a map extremely valuable and vulnerable. Protecting your navigation resources requires redundancy and concealment. Store multiple copies in separate locations. Laminate key maps for durability and keep a primary set in your bug-out bag. Backup copies can be sealed in PVC tubes or waterproof containers and hidden off-site. Digital copies can also be useful, but keep them offline in an EMP-shielded device to survive power disruption. And don't underestimate the power of memorization. Learn critical routes, terrain features, and landmarks. Once information is committed to memory, it can't be confiscated. Maps and navigation tools aren't just items, they're tickets to freedom. They let you move independently, making you harder to control or trap. In a world where movement is power, protecting your navigation tools is protecting your ability to survive. Bonus point 1. Energy independence. Solar panels and power banks. When the grid goes down, energy independence becomes a game changer. Solar panels, power banks, and portable generators aren't just conveniences, they're lifelines. They give you the ability to charge essential devices, power small appliances, and maintain a semblance of normalcy in a world plunged into darkness. But here's the catch. These items are highly visible and highly desirable, making them prime targets for confiscation or theft. Governments may justify seizing solar panels and generators under the guise of energy redistribution or emergency resource allocation. They'll claim it's for the greater good, but the reality is that your ability to generate power makes you independent, and independence is a threat to control. Looters and desperate neighbors, on the other hand, won't bother with excuses. They'll see your solar setup as a jackpot, something they can use or trade for other valuable resources. To protect your energy assets, you need to think strategically. First, avoid flashy setups. A rooftop covered in solar panels is a beacon for trouble. Instead, opt for smaller portable panels that can be easily hidden or moved. Store them in inconspicuous locations when not in use, like inside sheds or under tarps. Power banks and portable generators should also be kept out of sight. Use sound dampening enclosures for generators to minimize noise and never run them in the same location for extended periods. Rotate your usage spots to avoid drawing attention. Redundancy is key. Have multiple small power sources, rather than one large obvious setup. A few portable solar panels and power banks, scattered across different locations, are less likely to be confiscated or stolen than a single centralized system. Energy independence isn't just about convenience. It's about survival. It powers your communication devices, keeps your food from spoiling, and provides light in the darkest times. Protect it like your life depends on it, because in a collapse, it just might. Bonus point 2. Knowledge and skills, the ultimate unconfiscatable asset. In a world where resources are scarce and everything tangible can be taken, knowledge and skills become your most valuable assets. They're the one thing no one can confiscate, and they can mean the difference between survival and failure. Whether it's knowing how to purify water, build a shelter, or treat a wound, Your skills are your ultimate insurance policy. But here's the thing, in a collapse scenario, even knowledge can make you a target. If people know you're skilled in first aid, mechanics, or food preservation, they'll come to you for help, or worse, they'll try to force you to share your expertise. That's why operational security applies to your skills as much as it does to your supplies. Start by building a broad base of survival knowledge. Learn essential skills like fire starting, navigation, and basic medical care. Expand into specialized areas like gardening, hunting, and mechanical repair. The more you know, the less you'll need to rely on external resources. But don't advertise your skills. Keep a low profile and avoid becoming the go-to person in your community unless you're prepared to handle the attention. Share your knowledge selectively and only with trusted individuals. Books and manuals are also invaluable. In a world without the internet, having a physical library of survival guides, medical texts, and repair manuals can be a lifesaver. Store these in waterproof containers and keep duplicates in off-site locations. Your skills and knowledge are your most portable and secure assets. They can't be stolen, confiscated, or destroyed. Invest in them now, and you'll be prepared for whatever comes your way. Bonus point 3. Community and trust. The hidden survival asset. In a collapse scenario, going it alone is a recipe for disaster. While self-reliance is critical, the ability to build and maintain a trusted community can be just as important. A strong network of like-minded individuals provides security, resources, and emotional support in a world where isolation can be deadly. But here's the challenge. Trust is a double-edged sword. In a desperate world, even friends and neighbors can turn against you if resources are scarce. That's why building a community requires careful planning and discretion. Start by identifying people you can trust, family members, close friends, or neighbors who share your preparedness mindset. Look for individuals with complementary skills, like medical training, mechanical expertise, or gardening knowledge. A diverse skill set within your group increases your collective resilience. Establish clear boundaries and expectations. Everyone in your group should contribute in some way, whether it's through skills, labor, or resources. This ensures that no one feels exploited and that everyone has a stake in the group's success. Communication is key. Develop a secure way to stay in touch, whether it's through encrypted messaging apps, ham radios, or pre-arranged meeting points. Practice your communication plan regularly to ensure everyone knows what to do in an emergency, but be cautious about expanding your network. Not everyone who seems trustworthy will stay that way under pressure. Vet new members carefully and avoid sharing too much information about your resources or plans until you're confident in their loyalty. A strong community is more than just a survival strategy, it's a force multiplier. It provides safety in numbers, a pool of shared knowledge, and the emotional resilience to face the challenges ahead. In a world where trust is scarce, a well-built community is a hidden asset that can make all the difference.